climb a tree.
Watch out.
Ah!
Hi there, and welcome to the Board Game Business Podcast. I'm your host, Richard New. I'm here as always with Brian Hink and Jeremy Commander. Today we're going to be talking about how to make your perfect box back. And you've published now, 4 games? Is that?
It's all right.
Depending how you count expansions and whatnot.
Yep.
4 box backs.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you feel is, first of all, let's talk about legally. What's required to have on the back of your box?
Nothing is required, but it depends except on where you sell it.
Okay.
So there are certain markets that will require certain things.
Okay.
If they're to sell it in retail stores, there are stores who want certain things. So there's nothing required. I mean, you can sell your game on your website, and nothing is required by law.
No, there's one. There's one.
Which one?
It has to be on the box, not necessarily on the back, but you have to put, because games are classified as toys, and they fall under the consumer protection law passed in the U.S., where you have to put the age, like we notice this game here, it says age 13 and up. And I played this game with a 6-year-old. And kids can play this game, but it says 13 or up on the box, not because of the difficulty of the game, but because of the U.S. consumer protection law. If you want to put under 13 in the U.S., then you have to pay for chemical testing to make sure that there's no hazardous chemicals in it, and if the kids eat it, they won't get sick. And I think in Europe, I think that it was the age 14. So a lot of publishers you'll see, this says 14 and up. And that's so they make compliance in certain European countries and the U.S. and not have to pay for the expensive chemical testing. So if you're going to sell a game, which is classified as a toy, that is one thing you have to watch out for, the consumer protection law. That would be legally required to be on your box somewhere.
There's a lot of them that kind of everybody does just to cover your bases, because if I start selling a game, I don't know if it's going to eventually start being sold in Europe or in China, or I mean, each country kind of has different requirements for retail stores and that kind of thing. So basically, a lot of people just kind of put everything that anybody requires on the back, just so that they don't get in trouble, so that it opens the door to be able to sell it in different markets. So
so what are some of the things that you probably wouldn't think of to put on the back of your box?
There's the CE mark. And that is required in some European markets. You can put that on there. You do need to go through some testing for it. But a lot of people will just put that on the back. And then, this is something where don't take my word for this, but this is what I've read in multiple places, that you can put it on the back if somebody kind of calls you on it and says, hey, where's your documentation for this that proves that you did the testing and that kind of thing, then you can just do it at that point. They'll just say, okay, well, just make sure you get it done, and then you can go do it at that point. It's a nominal fee. I think it's...
Well, we've talked about printing at different manufacturers. Are some of those already certified and you're good to go after that point?
No.
You actually need to
each product needs to be tested specifically, yeah.
I've asked the manufacturers about that, and they said, well, we have to test all our components and all the combinations, and if we ever change an ink branding or manufacturer, it invalidates our certification again. We have to do it again.
Yeah.
And it's expensive, so they're like, it's just not worth it.
Customs, certain countries will require the country where it was made to be put on there. Oftentimes, so we make our games in China for the most part, so we would put made in China on there. Actually, a lot of the manufacturers will just do that for you without even asking. They'll put it on there because they know it's required. Some require the address, a physical mailing address, to be on there so that people can contact you, reach out to you at a real location if needed. You could put an email address or a phone number, but just some way to contact you. I mean, in general, I think that's a good thing to have on there anyway. So
well, here's something I'm seeing on every single one of the boxes: the UPC code, the barcode.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you? Those are unique for every product, right? So how do you get one? How do you get a unique one?
There are companies that have a set of numbers. It's a very long number, so a company can get a set of those to sell. So you can go to one of those companies and say, hey, I need 10 barcodes, or I need 1 barcode. You'll usually get a deal if you do 5 or 10 or 20 or 50.
Okay.
So do that. Buyabarcode.com is what I use. That is a good idea, something that you need if you want to sell it in retail. But if you just sell it on your website, you don't need that.
Well, how much did a barcode cost you to buy?
I buy them in packs of 10, and it's maybe I want to say like $150, somewhere around there.
So certainly cheaper than reprinting your box if you did get into retail.
Yes, but it also is easy to just put make your barcode an image, print it out on stickers, and then just put a sticker on it. I've done that before too, like little 5-card equipment pack for Good Cop, Bad Cop. I just, I have a UPC, it's a real UPC, made it into an image, put it on stickers, and just stickered each one.
You have talked before about your sell sheets and having, your information on there. So what is, maybe we're getting more of an aesthetic type of content now, but what do you consider to be a must-have for information on the back of the box?
Yeah. But look at the box, and I flip it over. I want to see the playtime. How long does it take to play? And I want to see the number of players. How many players can this game play? Especially if you're going through your stack of games, you're like, oh, can this one play to 5? Can we all play this one? You're looking at that. And I like it in graphical format. Mm-hmm. Like I'm holding up Dragon Flame from Minion Games, and so the 30 minutes has a little hourglass, number of players is little people, and then it has the ages 13 and up. It's really clear and easy to see that. I like that. I'm gonna make a comparison here to Puerto Rico here, which I think has one of the worst box backs in the industry. If you look at it, the number of players in the playtime is like down here, like a 9-point, 10-point font in the corner, and you might totally overlook that. Although they do have the CE mark, the choking hazard is on there, and an address where they can be reached are all there on the back of the box. And also, they don't have a barcode on the back. Theirs is on the side.
So one thing, I just got Pirate Den, and it has, this is Crash Games. It has the ones that we talked about, but it also has a learn time.
I think that's important too. I like that one.
Okay. So I did a poll on Twitter to ask people, because it seemed like people were kind of divided on that, just to see if that's something that is necessary. Because actually, when I looked at it, I was confused. I was like, oh, 5-minute playtime. Whoa, really? I thought it was a lot longer. And then I looked and I was like, oh, wait, no, that's something else. 37 people voted, I believe. And it was about 50-50, pretty split. And that's what people were commenting about whether they liked it or didn't like it. I think it's confusing. Some people said that they would use it, but
I think with more text, it makes a little more sense. Like this might be somewhere to have labels on there.
Learn to play.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
In addition to the icons.
The question really is, would this icon help you make a decision about whether to buy it? The learn time really only affects you for the first time you play it, right?
Right.
So would it affect your decision on when to buy it?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the learn time. I do put in my prototypes amount of luck and amount of difficulty, because some people are like, oh, I'm looking for an easy game that's just breezy and I don't care if it's silly or random, and other people are like, oh, I don't like games that have a lot of luck. And especially when I'm pitching to publishers, some publishers are looking for low luck games, high luck games, or they're looking for more strategic games or less lighter games. And so by having that complexity depth and the luck on there for the prototype box, that makes it more useful to them. Brian, you were telling me about this thing called a Restock Code.
Oh yeah.
What is a Restock Code?
That is a unique identifier in I believe it's the board game industry, where each company registers they get a 3-digit code that represents their company. And so ours is OWG for Overworld Games. And then, but your SKU for each game has a unique SKU that will allow retailers to buy them. And so it starts out with your 3-digit code of OWG, and then it's 4 digits. So the standard, I think it's...
So this one is MNI, which I guess is Minion Games.
Yep.
And then DF100 for Dragon Flame.
Oh, okay, yeah. And so there are 5. So it's not just digits. It's can be characters or digits.
And what's this code used for?
That's when a retailer wants to say, hey, I want this game. That's what they use, and they tell the distributor, hey, I want MNI DF100.
Okay, so if there's multiple games with, or like expansions, they don't get confused about which one it is.
Yeah, you can create your own system for your own company, but I guess that's what we do. So it's something that has become more popular lately to put that on there. It used to be that you just didn't put that on there; it's just the UPC. But it just kind of helps. We want to make it easier for retailers to buy our games, so that's one way to make it easier.
Okay, so Brian, you also have the back for Booze Barons, which is still in manufacturing, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we haven't seen an actual box, but this is the design for what the back of the box would look like.
Yep.
What did you include on there and make sure that you had to make your box stand out?
Yeah, this is just a printing. A lot the edges got cut off, but basically, component list we haven't talked about, so you want to list every single component that you have in here. People are going to use this to decide whether this is worth their money. So when they see this on the shelf for $39.99, a lot of people will actually look at the component list and see if do they think that this many components should equal $39.99 or not. Some people make their decision based on that. You know, I don't think that's a great way to do it, but I know it happens, so it's something you should be aware of. So even things like any little thing, standees that you might have, you could add that on there. The rule book, because a lot of people...
I'll give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I go to conventions and they have like a raffle where you win a game, and I'll often I don't know what these games are. I haven't heard of them, right? And so I'll pick it up and I'll look at the component list on the back, and I'll often pick a game based on the component list. Now, my theory as a designer is if I hate this game, it's got good bits. I can recycle and
awesome.
use something else. But if it's got cool little bits in it, I might want to get it just for cool little bits.
Another thing you can do, well, I mean, you're going to want to have some theme in there. What's this theme about? Unless you have like an abstract game or something, you're probably going to want to have a theme.
How much do you go into how the game is played?
It depends on your... My theory, or I guess my perspective, is that you do it based on your market. So if you have a game that is just a really family game or a very mass market game, it's all theme. They don't want to know about mechanics or anything like that.
Okay.
But if you were to do a Euro game, those people who are going to buy your game will want to know that it's a drafting game and there's hidden...
I would think that would be very important regardless, yeah.
For some people, yeah. But I mean, like in Exploding Kittens, nobody who buys that game is probably going to care, what mechanics are in that. So, I don't know.
Well,
you can...
To build off your question, if that's okay, I did appreciate that some games, so like Codenames here, it literally teaches you to play on the back of the box. And it says, the Spy Master says, Hot 2, can you find the 2 words related to Hot to win the game? And they have examples set up of the cards, and you're supposed to pick out the 2 that are related to Hot. And I actually tried to teach the game using the box backs. So I was trying to teach it to my relatives who do not play a lot of games. Now, not all games can do that. Like Booze Barons, there's no way we can teach you to play on the box back because there's more going on. It's it's a heavier game. We do have Conceal, Deduced, and Snitch, the 3 main kind of mechanics in the game, and it gives you an idea of how that works. So I really do appreciate that.
This is a weird question, but what do you guys think about like old style games where like I had a really old version of Battleship when I was a kid, and on the cover it had the people sitting there, you sung my bat, and like showing people around a table playing the game. Like, would you think of, like, it doesn't even have to be a picture, it could be like artwork to display that, but
if my game was set in the 50s or 60s, I would be tempted to do that, because it would be retro and be fun.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I probably wouldn't do it.
Not even for a social game?
Yeah, I get you. It makes it look like it's fun, because the people are having fun. Right. I think in the 70s, there was a big trend to put a photo of people playing the game on the back, and they all had the exaggerated, like, sitcom expressions as they're playing the game. Yeah, it was really exaggerated posture, and I can understand that. And if I was setting a game in that era, I would like, let's make it look like it was really from that era.
Right.
That might be fun, but otherwise, I'd like,
So you feel we've sort of gone past that a little bit?
I think people, they want a cool looking cover now. I think they want a cool looking cover.
But then again, if I were to see that at a game store, I could see that really standing out.
It would be different. Yeah.
But I don't know. So another one I wanted to show was Scoville, because they have something similar to what we did in Booze Barons, where they say 1, auction, 2, plant, 3, harvest, 4, fulfill. That's kind of the standard turn in the game or round in the game. So
I really like Scoville, and I like that on the back of the box you get a gist of how it plays.
Yep.
I don't know exactly how those mechanics work, but I get a flow of the game and you get an idea of how it works.
Yep.
They put the price here on the box. What do you think about putting the price on the box?
I don't know. We don't do that because I guess I'd like the opportunity to be able to change it if I wanted to. But I think that's kind of the point too, that you put it on there so you can't change it. I don't know. We decided not to because we want that flexibility, but I can see some people, wanting to just put it on there, and it's probably better for the consumer because then they know that they're not getting charged a higher price than what they should be if they see it on the store shelf. The other thing that is something that we put on here that I haven't seen on many is the QR code.
I was just going to bring that up.
Yeah.
Does that redirect you to your website?
So this is Learn More About Booze Barons. This one will
Okay.
bring you to the Booze Barons page on overworldgames.com.
Okay.
So then from there you can get the rules, the full rule book. You can get the videos, the setup video and the how to play video. And otherwise, just a summary too. That main page is going to have a summary.
And because it sends you to a page rather than a specific video, we're going to redo the videos eventually when we actually have the game. So we shot the video, how to play video, and how to set up with the prototype components. And when we have the final components, we'll reshoot it with the nice components and we'll just replace the video.
Yep. And so this one goes to the description, because I figure if you're looking at the back of the box, you're probably going to just want some more general information about the game to see if you want to buy it. But when in the rules, that's where we have the QR code for the setup and the how to play.
Okay.
And that's a big deal. A lot of people hate to read rules. I think did I tell you the Ticket to Ride digital to physical story before?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay, this is a great story. It's an example of why would you put a QR code in the back of your box for people to learn how to play? And this is a big deal. So Ticket to Ride arrived in iOS and arrived on the iPad first. They already had a web online version, and they made an iPad version. I think they were going to charge like $8 for it, and they put it out on the iPad. And they noticed that the Christmas season after they did that, their physical sales of the game spiked like 20-30%. And they're like, what's going on? And so they did some investigating. Turns out people had sort of heard of the game, got the iOS version, learned to play with the in-game tutorial, said, oh, I really like this game. I'm going to go buy the physical copy to play with my friends. And they had not planned at that time to do like an iPhone version of Ticket to Ride. But because the iPad version not only made money itself, but sold them more physical games, and then they did an iPhone version of Ticket to Ride and priced it at $1.99 to make it cheap, and then went on sale for 99 cents and free, because it's getting them more physical sales of their game when people learn to play. And that power of that learn to play, not having to read the rules, is a huge appeal to a lot of people. So I have a couple games, so I have a QR code either in the rules or on the box that link me to a how to play video, and I've used that to learn to play some games rather than reading the rules, and I really appreciated that. That gives that game an edge up in my mind. Except for one exception, I had a Fantasy Flight game, I think. I looked up a game, and the How to Play series was 30 minutes long. And I'm like, holy cow, 30 minutes before I can play in video form.
Right.
So I gave up on that one.
Maybe that's what the one box had on it. Was it was 5-minute video that you can link to.
Yeah, right.
5 minutes to learn how to play.
Right. We haven't talked about just the Overworld Games logo, or the publisher's logo needs to be on the back of the box, and then also the designer. Should probably be on the back of the box. Do we have you on the back? We have you on the sides in huge.
And I'm okay with that. So that's I had a conversation with this recently with someone else. It's not a big deal to me for my name to be on the box. For me, I think of in the movie industry, IMDb is where you go to find someone's credits and credentials, right? And BGG, the Board Game Geeks website in our industry, is where people it's important that I'm credited as the designer on BGG, because that's where a publisher is going to look or search my name and that kind of thing. As long as I'm credited accurately there, I'm happy. If it's not on the box or the rules, I don't give a rip. But some people say, my name has to be on the box, and it's in their contract, and it has to be above the game name. So here I'm holding Dragonflame again, and on the cover of the box, the designer's name is there, and the artist's name is there too. I have noticed more games with the artist's name on the box.
Okay.
I still think it's good to have the designer's name on the box, because that's where people see it when they play,
Right.
and you can build up your name as a designer and get more publishers to. If I recognize a designer, I'm much more likely to publish their game, because I know people who are buying games will also recognize that designer. Here we have code names and then the designer. That's what we did with Booze Barons too, because we have your name on the side in big letters. Because when you're playing the game, you're in the middle of it, and you're like, wow, this is a really good game. This is a well designed game, and then you'd see that right there what the name is. So I think it's my favorite place to advertise someone who was involved in the creation of the game. You could also put the manufacturer on the back too. I've seen that some places. We haven't done that, but I guess it would be something that would help out the manufacturer, so that if people say, oh, I like the Dragonflame components, I like how it was manufactured, I like the box, then they would know. Not many people would care about it at all, but the people who do would be the people who would be looking for a manufacturer, and it could get them more business.
And it can cost you very little. So now Panda is here on the back of the Dragonflame box.
Well, thank you guys for joining us for the Board Game Business Podcast. I've been your host, Richard New, and I'm here as always with Brian Hink and Jeremy Commander. I'll see you guys across the table someday. Hey, this is Richard to remind you that you can check out our website at boardgame.business. Old episodes are indexed by subject to make finding an answer to your question easier. You can find links to our BGG Guild, other networking sites, and, if you feel like supporting us, our Patreon account. Donations are used for equipment to improve the presentation of our podcast. Thanks for watching or listening.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.